Right, we're going to talk tonight about the pasuk. Right, it says in the Sefer Echa, in the first parak of Sefer Echa, it says over there, "Kol rodfia hisigua ben hametzarim." What does that mean? The pasuk. It means that all the ones that were chasing after the Jewish people, all the enemies that were chasing after them, they caught up to them ben hametzarim. Right? What does that mean ben hametzarim? Between the two sufferings. Literally, that's what it means. Right? So say the Chazal. That's talking about these 3 weeks which are coming up now. Starting on Sunday, right, this coming Sunday, and 3 weeks from there, all those 21 days that we have are called Ben HaMetzarim. Why is that called Ben HaMetzarim? Because the first day, 17th of Tamuz, is a fast day, right? And also the last day, Tisha B'Av, is also a fast day. 2 fast days we have coming up, right? I have a friend who send me some kind of a link somewhere to do some fasts. Whatever. So the truth is that we Jews, we don't need all kinds of artificial fast days. You know why? Because we have, Baruch Hashem, we have 5 fast days throughout the year, the Jewish people. So that's enough for us. Dayenu, we don't need any more than that, Baruch Hashem, We have everything. So everything is perfect for us. So anyway, it says over there, right, Ben HaMetzarim. What does that mean, Ben HaMetzarim? As we said, it's between these 2 days of suffering, Tisha B'Av and Yud Zayin Tamuz, we have 21 days altogether. Those times are called Ben HaMetzarim. What does that mean? That those days are considered to be unfortunate days of bad things, going on, all kinds of bad events, all kinds of bad fortune, right, going on at that time. So the truth is, right, that they say the Chazal that during the Yud Zayin Tamuz, which technically speaking falls on Shabbat, by the way, right, but since it falls on Shabbat and we're not allowed to fast on Shabbat, so we push the fast into Sunday, right? On Shabbat, you're not allowed to fast. That's because Shabbat is like a holiday, whatever. So, therefore, right, the sages moved it into Sunday. Right? It's like a makeup. It's a makeup course, basically, right? So, what happens is, right, that day, they say that the sages in the Mishnah, Masechet Ta'anit, 5 misfortunes occurred on that day, right? Bad events that occurred for the Jewish people. So as we know, right, that there was the luchot that were broken. What does that mean? That the tablets that Moshe Rabbeinu brought down from Har Sinai, it was that day, Yud Zayin Tamuz, that he broke the tablets. Right? That was one of the things that happened, right? You know how it is, right? That whole event, right? That's one of them. They also say, right, that what's relevant to our times is that the wall of Jerusalem was broken. Right, was bashed into. As we spoke earlier, right, inside the shul, what happened was that the Romans were besieging the city for 3 years of Jerusalem. Can you imagine? They couldn't get in for 3 years. Why is that? Because the city was fortified so strong, the walls were so thick and powerful, and there was different layers of walls also, number 1, number 2, number 3. There was layers. So because of that, you get through one, there's another one. You get through another one, there's also another one. Keeps going and going like that. So therefore, the Romans were so frustrated by this whole, scheme that the Jews had built up there. It took them 3 years of besieging the city to get inside the city. Unbelievable, right? Why? Because in those days they didn't have, helicopters and planes and no parachuters, all kinds of things like that. So the only way you can get in is by climbing out, climbing in, and getting in. So what they used to do is like this, right? They used to have this system where if somebody would try to climb up the wall, they would kill him because they had people on top of the wall, snipers, These guys are snipers, and they would throw stones at them, whatever. So they were not able to climb up. So the way they could get in was to break through, So they had these battering rams, and they were going day and night, boom, 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 boom. They were working day and night for 3 years. Can you imagine? They couldn't get in. The walls were so thick. Something unbelievable, right? This whole thing. And the Romans were a very strong power. They were the superpower of that generation. Nevertheless, it took them 3 years to break in there. They say, right, that they broke in on this day, the 17th of Tamuz, right? So here we find also that this is a day of misfortune. Again, we find the same thing, right? This is the idea. There was also other misfortunes that occurred that day, right? But this doesn't affect us so much. We're not really concerned with those misfortunes. But this does affect us. Why? Because when the city was broken into, it took them basically 3 weeks to destroy the whole city. Once they got in, they were able to go around the whole city, burn this, burn that. But they burned everything down. They knocked everything down. right? And in the end, the last day, which is Tisha B'Av, they destroyed the Beit HaMikdash. Right? They say that they went in to the temple compound over there at the last day, Tisha B'Av, and they set fire to the temple that was Tisha B'Av towards the evening, right? Like in other words, Mincha time, 7 o'clock, whatever, They set fire, and the building was burning for one whole day, after that. So meaning what? That most of the temple got burnt on the 10th of Av, which was the night after, So anyway, nevertheless, right? Whatever it is, what happened was that they destroyed the temple on the 9th of Av. So these 3 weeks are all like synced together. Says the Arizal regarding these 3 weeks, by the way. They say, right? Why is it that it says in the pasuk like that? Kol rodfei sigua ben hametzayim. They say, right? Whoever is chasing after the Jewish people, and he wants to catch up to them, he catches up on this time, those 3 weeks. That's the time that they catch up. You know what I mean? So whoever wants to catch up to you, you know what I'm talking about, right? The bill collectors, all kinds of guys, people like this, they'll send you letters, the lawyers, they're calling you, you know how it is, right? Whoever you have problems with some, litigation, this is usually a time that they catch up to you. They say, how are you? We caught you, huh? God forbid, right? Right? That's the idea. So they say, right, that this is the time they catch up. It's always like that, right? It never fails. Hashem should protect us, right, from all our pursuers, whatever, right, these people, right, whatever it is, right. So this is a time which is considered to be a time like that where it's mishaps, all kinds of unfortunate things, misfortune. So therefore, in order to avert all this misfortune, the rabbis gave us a series of rituals, all kinds of things that we do in order to prevent this from taking effect in a harsh manner, because if you don't do anything to prevent it, it will be more harsh, God forbid. You know what I mean? So therefore, they told us one thing. Number one, since Yud Zayin Tamuz, right, which falls on, as we said, right, Saturday, Sunday. Saturday we can't fast, so it's going to be Sunday. So that day, which is a misfortunate day, they told us to fast in order to avert some other misfortunes happening afterwards. This is the reason why they told us to fast, in order to give us kapara, to give us forgiveness.
What day is
for
this?
Sunday, this coming Sunday.
This coming Sunday.
Yeah. So so this is actually. You should know, by the way, that everything that we do, all the rituals that we do in Judaism, it's all for the goodness of the Jewish people, You shouldn't think it's coming to make you suffer. That's not the idea. You know what I mean? It's coming to save you. That's the idea. So, you got to take advantage of that. That's the whole thing, This is a chesed. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is doing you a chesed by giving you a chance. Right, exactly. It's not punishment. You're averting the punishment by doing that. That's the whole idea, So, therefore, the sages said, on Yud Zayin Tamuz, we should fast, right? But since it's not considered to be as bad as Tisha B'Av, the last fast, the second one, because there the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, it's considered to be like the ultimate tragedy. No tragedy like that in the world, right? Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. Nothing can compare to that. So therefore, right, no matter what, this fast is not as stringent as that fast. Not the same thing. What's the difference between this and that? So the sages tell us, right, that Tisha B'Av you have to do all day and night, for 24 hours you have to do. You know what I mean? It's like Yom Kippur. Same. They made the model of Tisha B'Av like Yom Kippur. Just like Yom Kippur works, Tisha B'Av also works the same way. When it comes to this fast, it's not 24 hours, right? It's not as severe. So how many hours do we have? Basically, we have 12 hours. That's the idea, right? But since it's summer, the day's a little bit longer, so it comes out to be more than 12 hours, right? About 14 hours, whatever it is, right? That's the idea. So therefore, what happens is that we start the fast at dawn, right? When is dawn? According to the halacha, dawn is 72 minutes before Shkiat HaChama, right? Sunrise. So sunrise is, let's say, about 5:40. So therefore, dawn is going to be about 4 o'clock, right? Plus minus, right? That's the idea. More or less 4 o'clock in the morning. Until then, a person can still eat and drink. So what does that mean? When Shabbat goes out, right? The custom is, on Shabbat, when Shabbat goes, to have malav malka. It's a mitzvah to have a meal after Shabbat goes out, right? In other words, even though we have 3 meals on Shabbat itself, Seudah Shlishit, right? Shalosh Seudos, right? We have Shlosha Seudot. Also, after Shabbat goes out, we have another Seudah. If it was Yom Kippur, we wouldn't be able to eat that Seudah, right? Because we have to start at night. But since it's only this fast, which is only rabbinical, it's not from the Torah, so therefore the sages were more lenient. So therefore a person can eat malala malka, have a good time Saturday night, enjoy himself, have a nice meal with the drink, eat, drink, whatever want, right? Whatever comes to your mind, you can do, no problem, right? You have till dawn, till 4 o'clock in the morning. Whatever you want to do, you can do that until that time. So it's not so bad, right? Basically, it's 14 hours of fasting. Because it's the summer, it's a little bit longer. But also, right, all the other things, the afflictions that they have on Yom Kippur, on Tisha B'Av, like for instance, not being with your wife, right, not to wear leather shoes, all kinds of things like this, right? On Yom Kippur, we have all these other afflictions also. Not to anoint yourself with oil, and also not to, right, what else they have on Yom Kippur? That also, right, not to bathe, right, exactly, all these things. So all these four things, that these afflictions on this fast do not apply. So therefore, if a person wants to take a shower, he's allowed to take a shower, whatever he wants to do, right? He wants to be with his wife, he can be with his wife. There's no prohibition regarding these things. Leather shoes, no problem, right? All these things. The only prohibition we have is to eat and drink. That's the idea, right? That's the only 14 hours of fasting. That's the story. But nevertheless, they say, right, in the Shulchan Aruch, that if a person, let's say, wants to go to sleep that night, right, Saturday night, right before the fast starts. So but he wants to have the option that just in case he wakes up early in the morning, he wants to, nibble on something, take a little snack. If he wakes up before dawn, maybe some drink, something also, whatever, right? So he wants to have the option of doing that, just in case, I might wake up, I'll eat something, I'll drink something. Can you do that? Yeah, you can do that, but there's only one condition, right? He has to make a tanai. He has to, before he goes to sleep, he has to say, right, that if I wake up before dawn, I'm going to eat and drink if I want. Right? That's the idea. If he says that before he goes to sleep, that's good enough. So therefore, if he wakes up 3 o'clock in the morning and he wants to have like a breakfast, early breakfast, he can do that. It's no problem. Yeah. It's too early, but it'll save him all day. All day he'll have energy. It's good. It's a way to conserve your energy like that. Because once the morning goes by, in the afternoon you're going to be hungry, very hungry. So you can save yourself by doing this kind of trick, whatever. Not everybody does this, it's not necessary to do it, but if you want to do it, let's say you have to work that day, you have to go to work. So a person like that, he has to work a full day. It's going to be hard for him to work without eating anything. Can't concentrate, no energy. Low energy person, like the president says, right? If you're a low energy person, you can't get things done, right? So you have to have your Wheaties. Right? Otherwise, you got a problem. So a person needs a lot of energy that day. That's what he should do. That's the idea, right? But as long as they should make a tanai. Once he goes to sleep, he's going to say, right, if I get up, I'm going to do whatever I want, sleep, eat, and drink, right, whatever it is. So then he can do it until 4 o'clock in the morning, right? And then once that goes by, he has to stop eating and drinking at that time, right? And the fast begins, right? That's the idea with that. So when does the fast end, right? So we talked about this inside, that some people, the Ashkenazim have different customs regarding this. We don't have the customs like Ashkenazim. Ashkenazim, what they do is they start to fast 90 minutes before the sun comes up. We do 72 minutes. They do 90 minutes. They do more. We don't have to do that, right? That's one thing. So they start, like, let's say from, 3:45, like something like that, 3:30, 4:45, even longer. That's the idea. We don't have to go so far like that. Also, when they finish the fast, Ashkenazim, they wait after the sun goes down, like 40 minutes after that, 35, 40 minutes. We don't have to do that. Our custom is to wait 20 minutes. That's it. So once the sun goes down, it goes down about 8:20 at this time of year, right? So 8:40 already, you start to eat and drink. That's the idea. You don't have to wait longer than that. Why is that? Because since this fast is only rabbinical, so therefore we're lenient. We don't have to go like the stringent opinion, like Rabbi Tam, who says you got to wait 72 minutes after the sun goes down, which is a long time, right? According to Rabbi Tam, it's 72 minutes. But since it's only from the rabbis, that's the fast, so therefore you don't have to be stringent regarding that, right? So, as we said, the whole idea, Rabbi here, is to avert the misfortune. That's why we're doing this fast, So a person should know. It says in the Gemara, by the way, Masachet Brachot, right, that the real, this like philosophically speaking more, that the real issue of fasting, you know what it is? The real mitzvah there is to give tzedakah. In other words, they say, right, that it's a big mitzvah on that day of the fast to give tzedakah. This is considered to be one of the main mitzvot of the fast. So a person on that day, right, also on Tisha B'Av, 3 weeks later, should try to do some tzedakah as well. That's the day you should do it, right? If some poor people come, from Williamsburg and God knows wherever they come from, right? They're richer than us, those guys. But anyway, right? Whatever it is, right? But whoever comes, right? Or let's say you want to buy, right? Aliyah on that day. It's good idea to give tzedakah to the shul, right? Some things like this, whatever it is. They say, right, that if a person didn't give tzedakah on the fast, he misses the point of the fast somewhat. You know what I mean? Something is missing there. That's considered to be like a main element of the fast. So a person should try to give tzedakah on that day. Why is that? Because the whole point of the fast is get atonement, right? You want atonement. So therefore, since you want atonement, how can you have real atonement without tzedakah? Tzedakah is considered to be one of the main ingredients of atonement. You know what I mean? This is one of the main ideas. So a person should be careful about that as well. So if a person does all these things, he doesn't eat and drink, he gives tzedakah. So now, right, he has a very good chance of averting the misfortune that lo aleinu, right, could have happened. This is considered to be, nice piece of protection there. This is the idea, So I want to tell you also that regarding after the fast, once the fast goes out, right, then we get back pretty much to normal. What does that mean? That a person could eat meat and drink wine after that. He can also during the fast itself, right? Two things, as we mentioned inside, that a person is allowed to smoke on the fast day if he needs to smoke. Hopefully you're going to quit one day, but until you quit, right? We allow you to smoke. What's the reason why it's allowed to smoke? Because you're not eating anything. What you're eating the cigarettes? I hope you're not. If you're eating the cigarettes, you got a problem. You know what I mean? But if you're not eating the cigarettes, you're just inhaling and exhaling. That's not considered to be eating. You know what I mean? So therefore, right, the sages never made a decree regarding smoking on fast days. There's no such a thing like that, right? Except Yom Kippur, obviously, right? Yom Kippur is something else, because Yom Kippur is like Shabbat. That's something else, Just like you're not allowed to smoke on Shabbat, you're not allowed to smoke on Yom Kippur. That's a different story. When it comes to these fasts, we say, right, that a person also, as we mentioned inside, it is also allowed to brush your teeth if you need to. Let's say, right, a person has bad taste in his mouth, whatever, so he's allowed to brush his teeth. Just make sure you don't swallow. This is the idea, right? Don't swallow the water. That's the idea, right? You want to spit it out. But the essence of brushing your teeth, nothing wrong with that, right? Nobody said you can't clean your mouth on these fast days, right? Tisha B'Av is a little more problematic. That's something else, right? Why? Because Tisha B'Av you're not allowed to bathe. So putting water in your mouth is also somewhat of a problem. You know what I mean? On Tisha B'Av, depending on the situation, what you're doing it for. But the point is, right? Tisha B'Av we don't allow that. But when it comes to this fast, we allow you to brush your teeth. That's the idea, So a person has to know, right, what's permitted, what's not permitted. This fast is not so severe like the other fasts, as we said over time. So regarding now, once the fast is over, right, there are also several things that the sages warned us. One of them is, right, that they say that there's a certain demon that goes around that time, those 3 weeks, right? His name is Ketev Meriri. He has a name. Can you imagine? He's not a nameless demon. Not a nameless, faceless guy. He has a name. He has, right. They even tell you in the Gemara. They tell you in the Midrash what he looks like. This guy. They don't show you a picture, but they tell you what he looks like. You won't want to see the picture. Believe me when I tell you. They say, right, that this guy is so scary. If you see him, whoever sees him, lo aleinu, he dies. He can't live and see this guy. That's how scary he is. He's like a nightmare. Terror. So therefore, right, the one thing you don't want to do is see this guy on those 3 weeks. You don't want to catch up with him. Understand? Because if a person sees him, that's it, he's gone.
Make the shoe not to see.
Right, that's the idea, right? So how do you prevent? There are certain people you don't want to meet, right? There are people you want to meet them. There are certain people you want to avoid meeting them, right? That's my friends used to tell me, it's a joke. When I would tell them, I'll see you later, they would say, thanks for the warning, They'd say, right? You get the idea, right? Some people take a warning, see you later. Okay, thank you. That's the same idea over here, That's like a warning. You don't want to see this guy. So in order to avoid seeing him, what do? Right? They say one thing is that don't go between the sun and the shade. When you go outdoors, right? That line is between the sun. Either go in the shade or go in the sun. Don't go in the middle, right? Be like one of these, wire guys, going like these wire walkers, right? No, you don't want to be like that, right? That's where he's found. They say, right? You find him over there. Also, if you go to a place where you're alone, where it's deserted over there, you go to a place where, like in the woods, nobody's over there. You go by yourself. It's dangerous to go, during this time, to a place like that.
Have there been documented cases where he's been seen?
You know what it is, right? The truth is that in the Gemara they say, right, that there was one rabbi who saw him and he died. That's what they say, right? So they know what they're talking about. You understand? So therefore, right, you don't want to catch up with this guy. So the only way you can stay away from him is stay away from the sun and the shade. And also they say, right, stay away from wooded. Don't go to alone. Don't go walking around alone. This is not the time not to go hiking, camping. This kind of stuff. You don't want to do that this time. This is not the time for that, right? Do it a different time. As we mentioned, right, inside also we mentioned that the Gemara says regarding this, right, that when you go, the reason why you don't want to go to a place where you're alone is because the shedim, the demons, they have permission to attack you over there. You understand? That's where they hang out. That's their abode. That's their house. Everybody's got their home. Some people live in Ringo Park. Some people live in Forest Hills. Some people live in the woods. These guys live in the woods. That's what they do. You know what I mean? They live in places where it's deserted there. Dilapidated, deserted places, like ruins, where like buildings are knocked down, like those kinds of places. They like to hang around in places like this. You understand? So what happens is that if you go to a place like that, if they say, right, if they see one person, they have permission to attack you. Can you imagine? So all this guy has to do is to show himself to you. That's it, That's all he has to do. He doesn't have to do nothing else. He doesn't have to touch you. If he shows himself, that's bad enough. Can you imagine? So you gotta be careful, right? That's the idea. So they say, right, if there's one person, he has permission to attack. If there's two people going together, he doesn't have permission to attack already. You see, two people, there's safety in numbers, as they say, right? So when there's two people, they don't have permission to attack, but they have permission to scare you. They can like spook you out. They can spook you, but they don't have permission to touch you. Right? Harm you, exactly. They say, well, if there's three people, they don't even have permission to scare you. So three is already safe. You know what I mean? Three is company, right? Whatever they say, right? Three is a crowd, whatever it is they call it, right? That's the idea. So if you have three people, you're okay, right? That's the idea. But don't go alone by yourself in lonely places where there's nobody there. That's not good. Also, the truth is, right, that we find always, also in Israel, like that we always find at this time of year when this guy's going around, this dangerous guy, there's always a lot of car accidents going on. Also, boof, 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 traffic, So, one of the best things to do is to avoid, like driving fast at this time, like reckless driving. Drive carefully, chill out. Don't become like a speed demon now at this time. This is not the time. Wait till you go to the racetrack right afterwards. Go to the racetrack and go over there. What do you want to do? But in the street, whatever. So you gotta be careful. So they tell you that everything should be done right, moderately, careful. Don't go crazy. This is a time of danger. There's physical danger involved with this guy. This guy's dangerous. That's the idea. But if you stay away from these things that we mentioned, you should be okay, right? They say also that he only really comes on certain hours of the day. He works a shift, Everybody's got a shift, right? Daytime shift, nighttime shift, Afternoon shift. This guy's got his shift also. He doesn't work all day. What time is the shift? So they say it's basically 6 hours out of the day. That's the idea, When does it start? It starts in the morning, which is the fourth hour of the day, the beginning of the fourth hour, right? Which is about 9:30 in the morning. That's when he starts to get to work. He's a 9 to 5 guy, whatever. So he comes into work at 9 o'clock, 9:30, and he sticks around until when? Until the 9th hour is over. So what does that mean? 6 hours after that. So we're talking about like 3:30, 4 o'clock, around there. That's when he finishes his job. He goes home. Right. Like he clicks out. That's what he does. Right. Then goes home. So they say dafka, precisely in those hours you got to be careful, because otherwise he's not working. He's off duty. He's an off duty guy. So you don't have to worry about that. That's the idea. So that means that what at night, the truth he's not around. He's not there. He's only there during those hours. And by the way, you should know that those hours are usually at this time of year. You know how they are, right? They're usually very, very hot. And it's like you can't even go outside, without getting faint. In Israel, it's also like that. It's very, very hot this time of year. So what happens is, right, that a person starts to feel pressure, at this time also. There's like a certain kind of pressure from the weather, from the elements, So it's really the best thing to do is, if you can avoid going out at that time altogether, this is the best thing. Because there's a lot of, it seems to create some kind of bad environment outdoors, when this guy's around. But they say the real danger is when you're going through the right, as we said, between the sun and the shade, or if you're alone, then you're really you're really risking it at that point. You understand? So when does this start? This whole thing, it starts from Yud Zayin Tamuz. It starts from Sunday, right, until Tisha B'Av, which is going to be also Sunday. All those 3 weeks, you have an issue like this, right? So therefore, you got to be careful. There is also another midrash, by the way, who says that it starts even earlier than that. It says that it starts from Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. What does that mean? It already started before, right? But the truth is that we paskin, the halacha is not like that. Halacha is in Shulchan Aruch that we say it goes from 17th of Tammuz until Tisha B'Av, which is 3 weeks exactly. Those days, right, is considered to be dangerous. So they say also there's another thing, right? They say that because of the dangers that's involved in this time, that a person shouldn't get violent also at that time. Start hitting people. Especially, right, who? Your children. You know how it is, right? Sometimes the children misbehave. You got to give them a smacking, patch, It's okay to do that, not the end of the world, but you got to be careful, At this time of year, they say that even if you do that, at this time of year, you shouldn't do it. Why is that? Because they say that if you hit the child during this time of year, that demon also hits him. You know what I mean? He gives him another shot. Can you imagine? He gets a double one. He gets double whammy. One from you and one from him. And he's the one that he gives is stronger than yours. So therefore, the children could be harmed from that. Therefore, they say, right, that whether you're a teacher, Chafetz Chaim guy, whatever, or you're one of these, a parent that has young children, so to put away your stick, right? Put them away, put them in the closet for a while, for 3 weeks, right? Take a break. Let them run around the children, make a balagan, do whatever they want. Don't be so stringent with them. But the truth is, right, that since, as we said, right, this demon only operates during that shift that we mentioned, those 6 hours. So therefore, if a person wants to do that after that shift is over in the evening, no problem, right? If he wants to, give a little patch to the kid, whatever, at that time there's no problem. It's only a problem when he's operating this guy. You know what I mean? Once he's off duty, you're okay. That's the idea. There's also another thing, Rabbi, right? They say that a person shouldn't, during these 3 weeks, because there are times of punishment, there are times of misfortune. So therefore, don't egg on all kinds of things, by the way you behave. What does that mean? One of the things is like this, right? Don't buy something, they say, that requires bracha of shechianu to make. What does that mean? Let's say you're buying a new fruit, right, to make shechianu. When you see a new fruit that wasn't available all year, a seasonal fruit, all year it wasn't there. Now all of a sudden it came in brand new, nice, beautiful. They brought it from Israel, they brought it from Mexico, God knows where, right? Leavdil, right, whatever. So now it came in. So they say this time of year is not good to make blessing shechianu. Why is that? Because what does it mean shechianu? What does the bracha mean? That blessing. Right? You're saying Baruch Atah Hashem, right? Blessed are you, God, Elokeinu melech haolam, you master of the universe, right? Shechianu v'kiyamanu v'giyanu lazman hazeh. What does that mean? That means that you brought us to this time. Like you're saying to God, thanks for bringing us to this time. What are you thinking of? What? This is a time of punishment. You know what I mean? The time of misfortune. You're thanking Him. You're blessing Him for that, right? So it's like it's contradiction in terms. You know what I mean? So therefore, the sages say, right, that a person should try to avoid making the shechianu blessing during these 3 weeks. But there is a solution for that, right? There's a solution for everything. You know, right? What's the solution? They say if you want to buy something which requires shechianu, what requires shechianu, by the way? As we said, new fruit, but there's also some other things. For instance, you bought a new suit, right? Nice jacket, beautiful, new coat, nice down coat, coat or leather, something fancy, fur. You got a fur for your wife, right? Something like that. So all these things, a person has to make shechianu on them. When you buy nice new clothing, that you're happy with that clothing, something that makes you happy, right? We're not talking about socks, right? Socks that you're not too happy with socks. I hope you're not too happy with socks. There's nothing to be happy about, right? There's nothing to be happy about when you buy underwear or t-shirts, right? No big simcha. So for things like this, we don't make shechianu. So what do we make shechianu on? Something you're happy about, Nice new jacket, nice new coat, nice new suit, something substantial. Or you got like a fancy shirt also, nice Armani shirt, got nice fancy shirt. Wow, you feel like a king, So things like this, that you feel very, very happy with them, you're supposed to make shechianu. But now, this time of year, they say, right, if you want to buy something like that, what should you do? You can buy it. On one condition, right? Is that what? That you should make the shechianu on Shabbat. Since on Shabbat we don't have abelut, we don't have mourning on Shabbat, right? We don't mourn on Shabbat, so therefore Shabbat is a happy day. There's no mourning on Shabbat. So therefore, right, what can you do? What you can do is wear our garment for Shabbat and make shechianu. That's the idea, right? There's no problem with that. That's until Rosh Chodesh Av, right? Until Rosh Chodesh Av. We have 2 weeks for that. Once Rosh Chodesh Av comes, we're more stringent about that a little bit, right? A little bit more stringent. Why is that? Because that's considered to be already even the worst. As the time goes on during these 3 weeks, it becomes more severe. This is what happens, right? So since the severity increases with the time, once Rosh Chodesh comes, we're going into a different phase already. That's the idea. They say, by the way, that these 3 weeks are destined to be in the future. You know what that's destined to be? Destined to be holidays. They're going to be the most happiest holidays that we have. Why is that? What's the reason why? They say, right, that most of the holidays that we have nowadays are going to be bottled. They're going to be nullified. Most of them. They're not going to exist anymore. So instead of these holidays that we have now, we're going to have 21 days, these 3 weeks that we're talking about. Okay? They're going to be the holidays. Wow, what kind of thing is this, right? Why does that become holiday? So you know what the reason is why? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu, in order to give us the merit, the zechut, to get to the times of Mashiach, he needed to give us these times of punishment, right? These times of misfortune, mishaps. We needed that. In other words, we need the kapara from these mishaps in order to atone for our sins. You understand? So therefore, they say that once HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows us how great these punishments were, that this mishaps that happened, how great they were for us. You know why? Because if it wasn't for that, the punishment would have come on our bodies. You know what I mean? Instead of coming on the Bet HaMikdash, which is just wood and stone, it would have come on our bodies, right? So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu did us a great chesed by preventing the punishment from coming on us and letting it come on material things, material structures. So therefore, once HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows us the depths of all these things, how it was, right, that all these things that he did for us was a great favor. If I wouldn't have done this for you, you wouldn't have had this. He'll show you exactly, right, how it works. So once you see all these details, how great these things were, right, you're going to say, praise the Lord, right? Praise the Lord. That's what you're going to say, right? So you're going to be so happy once you hear these things. You're going to want to make a holiday. That's what they say, right? And this is exactly why these days are going to become the holidays of the Jewish people. Understand? Because the truth is, right, that as they say, right, that there's that famous thing, right, that by the guys who work out, they say, no pain, no gain, right? So Judaism believes in this very, very strong. No pain, no gain, right? In other words, if you didn't have the suffering, if you didn't have the pain, there's also no gain. You couldn't get to the where you need to go. So therefore, right, the person has to be considered a privilege that he got all these mishaps. From those mishaps, we were able to get to the final destination, to the promised land. You know what I mean? That's the idea. That's the whole, right? So a person has to be very thankful for these things. The truth is, that's the proper outlook. A person has to be happy. All the things they say, right, in the Shulchan Aruch, by the way, regarding this, they say that a person has to thank God with all his heart for every mishap that happens. There's even a blessing that a person makes. You know that, right? There are certain tragedies that occur, lo aleinu. Somebody dies in the family, right, whatever. We have to bless on that. What's the blessing that we make? Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, dayan ha'emet. Right? What does that mean? We're saying, right, blessed are you, God, who is the true judge. What does that mean? That everything you judge was true. That's the idea. You're a truthful judge. Nothing slips by you, nothing, right, escapes you. You know exactly what needs to be judged. So therefore, when a person really believes in Hashem, he has to bless God with a full heart when something happens like that, a mishap. That's really called a Jew, When a Jew gets to that level, he's really a Jew. But if he's like, scared about everything, why this happened to me, why this happened to me? He's still not on the level that he should be. He still has to, work on his emunah. He still has to work on his faith. He's still not there, He's not there. He's not in the proper place. So a person has to know, right, that these mishaps are all for the best. Getting back to what we said over time. As we said, so the person can make shechianu if he wants on Shabbat. So if he wants to get a new fruit, he wants to get a new suit, whatever it is, on Shabbat he's allowed to do that. No problem, right? Also, regarding buying, somebody asked me inside, regarding buying new items on the right things. Jimmy always asks me about this, right? You're allowed to buy this, you're allowed to buy that, right? We talked about this before, right? So the truth is that during the 3 weeks, there's no prohibition to buy new items. If you want to buy, let's say, a new car, no prohibition about that. There's no prohibition to, let's say, to buy a house also. If you want to buy a home, no prohibition to do such a thing like that. All these things are, why? Because a person needs these things. When you buy a car, you're not buying it just, for fun. You usually need to get to work, your business, this kind of thing. It's not. It's something that you use on a daily basis. It's something practical. So there's nothing to be, so joyful about. Okay, maybe a nice car, whatever. But I mean, it's something that you're using for practical daily life. So therefore, there's no prohibition to buy a car. There's no prohibition to buy a house during this time, right? Once we get to Rosh Chodesh Av, So then it becomes a little bit more stringent. Over there we stop doing all kinds of things like that, buying happy things, doing happy events, all kinds of things. As we mentioned also inside, these 3 weeks until Rosh Chodesh Av, a person is also allowed to make weddings. So if a person wants to get married, as I told him inside, you're going to get a discount. What does that mean? Ashkenazim, by the way, don't do this. Ashkenazim, all 3 weeks, they don't get married. Right? That's their custom. Custom of Sfardim is that we do get married until Rosh Chodesh Av. Actually, it's considered to be something good, that we do. Number one, as I said, right, you get a discount. What is it? The caterers are now very slow. You know what I mean? So therefore, if you want to get a good price, you go in now, you tell them, listen, you're going to be at home otherwise. If I don't take you now, you're going to be sitting at home, watching the news. So I'm doing you a favor. So give me a discount, 30% off, 50% off. Get a kill, make a kill. You know what I mean? So if a person wants to do something like that, it's considered to be actually very, very good. Why is that? Why is it considered to be good? Because Moran Rabbeinu used to tell us that what happens is that when they delay the wedding too much, right, between the engagement and the wedding, there's too much time. What happens is that, you know how it is, right? The Chatan and Kala, they start doing hanky-panky, hugging, kissing, all kinds of stuff. You know how it is, right? Starts to become a little bit too friendly. Starts to get heated up a little bit too much, So therefore, to avoid this, right, the Rabbi tells don't make such a big gap between the engagement and the wedding, His recommendation was not more than 3 months, not like today they do 6 months and 8 months, that's already going too far, not so good. Because by the time that time goes by, right, only God knows what's going to happen between these two, you know what I mean? What's going to be? Who's gonna guard them, right? Only Hashem can guard. Nobody's who can guard them for all kinds of things. So therefore, right, they say it's better to make the wedding now during this time until Rosh Chodesh than to wait 2-3 months after summer is over, and then you're going to have all kinds of issues, right, and problems with these young children that you're marrying off, right? What's going to be with them? God knows, right? Only God knows what's going to be, right? And the Chazal said, "En apotropos le'arayot." You know what that means? There's no guarantee when it comes to illicit relations, when it comes to promiscuity. There's no guardian for that. Nobody can guard that. There's always going to be some monkey business going on. You know what I mean? So therefore, in order to avert this problem, they say make the wedding as soon as possible, right? And the reason is, Rabbi, because according to Halacha, until Rosh Chodesh, right? Really, the truth is most things are allowed to do. All these 2 weeks that we have now before Rosh Chodesh, everything pretty much is allowed, more or less. As you just mentioned, there are certain limitations. The Ashkenazim are more stringent. The Ashkenazim don't do haircuts all the 3 weeks. We do. If you want to shave and do a haircut, you're allowed to do. The truth is, who's more, let's say, authentic, the custom? Our custom is more authentic. You know why? Because our custom is according to the Talmud, which says like what we do. What happened was the Ashkenazim, they don't believe in Talmud? They believe in Talmud. Believe what they believe. That's not the problem. The problem is that they added all kinds of stringencies, right, because of the needs that they had in their countries, in Europe, whatever it is, right? They had all kinds of issues that they had to deal with. Right, so the rabbis knew what they were doing. They had big rabbis over there. They knew what they were doing. They added all kinds of stringencies. But the truth is, according to the tradition, our traditions are more authentic. According to Talmud, everything is very, letter by letter. So the truth is that we have nothing to be ashamed about. You know what I mean? Our customs are very authentic. That's the way it is. So therefore, a person, right, who wants to, as we said, right, do all these things, to get a haircut, take a shave, whether it comes to bathing, or doing laundry or anything like that, there's no prohibition right now but regarding these things. Right? The prohibition starts later on. These kinds of prohibitions start later on. We'll talk about that next week, B'ezrat Hashem. But meanwhile, right, you have to know basically pretty much everything is allowed. More or less. As we said, be careful regarding the safety. Regarding that, we said be careful. When it comes to also eating meat and drinking wine, everything is allowed. No prohibitions at this time of year. When do we stop eating meat? After Rosh Chodesh, right? After Rosh Chodesh, we stop. Yeah.
For how long?
For all the 9 days until Tisha B'Av is over. Right? Those 9 days, we stop. The truth is, it's only 8 days. You know why? Because on Rosh Chodesh itself, you're allowed to have meat. Rosh Chodesh. Why? Because Rosh Chodesh is a holiday. So how can you say on holiday I'm not going to have meat? By the way, you should know the Rosh Chodesh is a real holiday according to the Torah. It's not from the rabbis. So it's really, one of the mitzvot in the Torah, you know what it is? To have a seudah also on Rosh Chodesh. Did you know that? If a person, let's say, wants to go out, eat, right? They would like to invite people. Go out, whatever, go here, go there. So Rosh Chodesh is the best time to do it. You know why? Because it's seudat mitzvah. That's the idea, you know. So that's the idea of a tie. So a person, if he wants to have meat on Rosh Chodesh, the custom by us is to have meat on Rosh Chodesh. The Ashkenazim on Rosh Chodesh they don't eat meat. They don't eat meat. They start only Rosh Chodesh itself. That's the difference between us and them. You know, that's the idea. So there's like 1 day difference, but pretty much okay, whatever. The point is about tie that we have pretty much now everything is open, but nevertheless a person has to know, right, that since these days are days of punishment, days of mishaps, there has to be some kind of a caution, exercise caution, not to get too wild, too crazy, all kinds of things like this, not to bring upon yourself all kinds of jealousy or being like very very careless about the way you behave, kind of like not careful. That's the idea. So all these things have to be everything in measure, everything in its time. And getting back to what we said over time regarding the fast itself, the fast day, right, 17th of Tammuz, there's also a difference this year than all the other years. What's the difference? This year, what happens is, right, that the fast really should fall on Shabbat, as we said. But because it's Shabbat, we're not allowed to fast, so we pushed it off to Sunday. But since the real day of the fast is on Shabbat, really the Sunday is just a makeup. It's not really the real day of the fast. So therefore, there are some leniencies also regarding that. That if a person is fasting on the next day, which is the makeup, let's say a person has a Brit Milah on that day, right? A child was born, and the Brit Milah came out on the fast day, right? So there's a Sandak, the one who's holding the baby, right? And the Mohel, and the father, Avi Ben. All these three people are allowed to eat on that day. You know why? Because since the fast was pushed off to Sunday, it's not the real day of the fast, and since for them it's a holiday because they're doing Brit Milah, right? So therefore they're allowed to eat that day. They're allowed to do everything, and it's a holiday for them. No limitations. They can eat whatever they want. They can drink everything, right? Because it's Brit Milah, holiday, right? So therefore they don't have to fast at all. That only accounts for these people, as we mentioned, right? These three people, because they're the ones who are right involved in the Brit directly. We're not talking about the whole Jamaat. We're not talking about that. Right? It's not the idea. Only those three people. They're allowed to. Also, Rabbi, there's also other things involved with the fast. There's also issue of the prayers as well, right? That's something very interesting. The Ashkenazim, what they do, you know what it is? On Mincha, during the fast day, they read Haftarah. What that means is besides reading the Torah like we do, everybody reads the Torah on fast days, whether it's Shachrit or whether it's Mincha. But the Ashkenazim also bring Haftarah. They do Haftarah. What does that mean? They also bring from the prophets, right, the little scroll, and they read also that as well. We don't do that, right? The Sephardim don't do Haftarah on the fast days. So the question is like this right now. Let's say you go into Ashkenazi shul, right? You went to Ashkenazi shul, and they don't know who you are. They just see you're a Jew, whatever. So they tell you, what? You want to go up for the Haftarah? Go read the Haftarah. So you, who is Sephardi guy, you're not supposed to be reading the Haftarah today. The question is, are you allowed to do it? Right? You're at Ashkenazi shul. So what's halacha bemet, right? So halacha is what time. Says Morain Rabbeinu Maran Shalom Ovadia. He writes in his book Chazon Ovadia. We have over here that a person who's Sephardi is allowed to read the Haftarah with the Ashkenazim that day. So why is he allowed to read it? The truth is, there's one question regarding that. You know what the question is? That he's making a bracha also. When a person reads the Haftarah, he also makes brachot. So if you're not supposed to read that Haftarah according to your custom, how are you making these brachot? It's bracha l'vatara. It's a wasted bracha for you. It's a bracha in vain. A blessing in vain. So how are you making this bracha if that's not your custom? So says the Rabbi Shalom that it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch. We find the Shulchan Aruch that the Shulchan Aruch also brings, who was Sephardi himself. He brings over there that there were also some Sephardi communities also who had this custom to do Haftarah. Even though nowadays the Sephardim don't do Haftarah. But since really the truth is that some Sephardi communities also did, so therefore if a person gets called up to do Haftarah from the Ashkenazim, he's an Ashkenazi shul, he's allowed to go up and read the Haftarah, even with the brachot. There's no problem, even though it's not our custom to do that. But since it's brought down on Shulchan Aruch that it's the custom to do that, so therefore, right, it's not going to be considered for him bracha l'vatara, right, blessing in vain. Not considered like that. Mm-hmm. So therefore, a person can do that. Also, there's another thing, another interesting point, which is that there is also a prayer called Anenu on the fast days, right? When do we say Anenu? In the bracha of Shomei Tefillah, in the Amidah, over there, we say Anenu. According to Sfardim, how many times we say this blessing? We say, right, since we're not fasting at night, we're only fasting in the morning and the afternoon, so therefore we say for Mincha and Shachrit. Shachrit and Mincha. That's what we do, right? Ashkenazim, they only say for Mincha. That's the difference, right? They don't say for Shachrit. Why don't they say for Shachrit? What's the reason why? Their custom is like this, right? The idea is like this. They say that since the fast is only hard in the afternoon, in the morning you don't feel it so much. It still doesn't kick in so much, you know what I mean? So therefore they say, right, it's not proper to say the prayer. You're not suffering yet so much. Since you're not suffering yet so much in the morning, you're still not hungry so much. Therefore they say we shouldn't say Anenu. When should you say Anenu? Only in the afternoon when you're really suffering. You're really hungry now, right? You're really, about to give up, right? Whatever. So then they say it's the proper time to say. But our custom is not like that. So for us, we say Anenu, whether it's in the morning, whether it's in the afternoon, we say Anenu, right? That's the idea. So let's say if a person forgot to say Anenu. What happens then, right? He didn't say Anenu in that midah. So once he finishes the bracha, Shomei Tefillah, he goes on. He doesn't have to stop. He doesn't have to go back. He doesn't have to do it again. If he missed it, he missed it. That's it, right? Once you missed it, and you finish Shomei Tefillah, then you go and you finish the Amidah. That's it, right? No, there's no way to make it up afterwards. Why is that? Because this prayer is not considered to be so crucial that we're going to make you go back and pray again. It's not considered to be that much so crucial like that. So therefore, we say that a person can, be moderate with that, right? Once you missed it, you said, but let's say, right, depends on where you are. What does that mean? Let's say you said, right, Ki ata shomea tefilat kol peh, and you said Baruch atah, and you remember, I didn't say Anenu. So if you didn't say yet Shem Hashem, the name of Hashem, right, you can still go back. Yeah, you can still go back. If you didn't say Shem Hashem yet, right, you said Baruch atah. So you can still go back and say Anenu. Why? Because you didn't say Hashem. Once you say Hashem, don't go back anymore. That's it, right? Once you say Hashem, say Baruch atah Hashem. So you say Shomei Tefillah and go finish. Right? That's it. No, there's nothing to do with that. That's the idea, right? But beforehand, you still can go make it up. That's the idea of it. Very good. So the Shliach Tzibur also, right, says Anenu, the Chazan, but he says it as a separate bracha altogether. That's something else, right? We say it in Shomei Tefillah. They say it as a separate bracha altogether. That's the idea, right? So don't get confused, right? He says it in a different place. We say it in a different place. Everybody's got their own place. That's the idea. But they say that if a person, let's say, came, right? Let's say came to the shul, but he's not fasting that day. How is it that he's not fasting? What, he's a sinner? What is it, right? Let's say he's sick. He doesn't feel good. He's got a flu. He's under the weather. He's got like a big headache or something. Some major like migraine. Knocked out, whatever. So a person like that is exempt from the fast. He's not obligated to fast. A person who's sick is exempt. Also, a woman who's pregnant, a woman who's nursing, they're exempt. Why? Because for them it's very hard to fast. So the rabbis exempted them. That's the idea, right?
Like on Yom Kippur.
No, Yom Kippur is different. Yom Kippur, a pregnant woman has to fast, right? Also, a nursing woman has to fast. Also, if you have a headache, you have to fast on Yom Kippur. But since this is rabbinical, we're not so stringent, Therefore, all these things, right? If a person has all these issues on this fast, he doesn't have to fast, right? So now, let's say, right, all these people who are exempt from the fast. Let's say he came to the shul, right, or he was praying at home. Let's say he didn't come to the shul. Does he say Anenu or not? Right? So they say, right, if you're not fasting, you shouldn't say Anenu. What does that mean? Anenu is only for people who are fasting, because otherwise you're saying like sheker, falsehood, something false, So the idea is that a person should say Anenu only if he's fasting. And also they say the same thing regarding going up for the Torah, right? A person who's going up for the Torah, only people who fasted should go up for the Torah. A person who's not fasting, even though he's doing it with permission, he has permission not to fast, as we said, right? Like all these people. They say also, by the way, a person who's very old. And he's not really ill, like he's not really sick, but very weak, just old, weak man. The doctor tells him, says, you're too old to fast, like you shouldn't be fasting, So he shouldn't fast, the truth is, right? He doesn't have to fast on these days. Because these days are considered from the rabbis, so therefore we tell him, right, if a doctor told you not to fast, we exempt you, They don't want to go so far. But they say that a healthy person, right, who's strong and good and healthy, right, he has no excuse not to fast on these days. You should go, and do it. Don't be so, don't be such a,
It's easy. By the
yeah,
time we get
yeah,
up
yeah.
on
It's
a
the truth is,
Sunday,
yeah. Right, exactly.
it's
That's
gone
true.
anyway.
It's true what you're saying. It's true. It's not so hard at all, right?
Yeah.
Because anyway, you have like so much food in your stomach from Shabbat, right?
So
So there's
Sunday
not-
night
yeah.
after sundown,
Yeah. 20 minutes after sundown, right? 8:40. That's it, right?
Yeah.
You can, go for it. Yeah, that's the idea, right? That's the idea, right?
about eating meat.
Yeah.
One time,
Yeah.
I went to when the kids were small. I went to Hobby's Got,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
steakhouse.
Ah, yeah.
On Union Turnpike, and we didn't know it was going to be open because
Right.
we don't eat.
Right.
We eat meat.
Right. On Rosh Chodesh. You're probably talking about Rosh Chodesh. You're talking about
Yes,
Rosh Chodesh.
but they don't. The Ashkenazi
Yes,
don't.
they don't read that.
So I went and I said to the guy, "Oh, well, I thought you would be closed because
Yeah.
I know that Ashkenazi eat the meat. We don't. We do, you don't." So I asked the mashgiach over there. There's a tall guy, Moshe. I said, "I don't really understand. We're all Jews. Why we have this difference?" So he's thinking. You're gonna like this one. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Because the Ashkenazim, we suffered in life more in history, we keep it, we don't eat them.
Interesting. Okay, interesting.
That's what he said.
We didn't suffer, we suffered also.
We all suffer.
They had a very bad galut. Ashkenazim, they had a very bad galut.
But why it
You know,
reminded me now, even though it was very fundamental explanation and very maybe childish kind of, it made sense to me. Now I remember because when the rabbi when you were talking, he mentioned Europe. How
Yeah, things were bad in Europe. They were bad
how
over
the
there. It's very
Ashkenazi
bad.
rabbis had to come up with their own rabbinical rules in Europe
That's
for their
for the
standards.
situations.
Yes, so maybe
Yeah.
because
That
I
was the explanation.
yes, because I've been laughing at those words for the past 20 years now, but now it makes sense to me.
I have a question, if I may. Regarding the meat, you mentioned that when you do the sebudah, it says here in the Torah, you have to eat the meat and wine. It's a real sebudah, correct?
They say you're talking about Seudat Mitzvah.
Sebudah mitzvah.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Sure.
And what about Rabbi Amnon Yitzchak? He doesn't need meat. How he can do that mitzvah?
Well, I don't know. You're talking about people who are vegetarians? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about the Rabbi Amnon Yitzchak.
Why him? What does that have to do with him?
Why? Because he's a rabbi. You
Yeah.
heard about him?
Yeah, I know he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he doesn't eat meat at all.
Why? He's a vegetarian.
Yeah, but how he can do that?
So it's not only him, it's any vegetarian. You understand? Any vegetarian. Yeah, it has nothing to do with him. It's nothing to do with him. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's a good question what you're asking. So, you know what the answer is? They say, right, that a person on Shabbat, he should eat things which he enjoys. So if for some reason he doesn't enjoy eating meat, there's no mitzvah to eat something you don't enjoy, There are some people who don't like meat. There are a lot of ladies who tell me all the time, right? Ladies tell me, "Oh, I don't like red meat. I don't eat red meat. I only eat fish. I only eat." Women they have a different makeup, physically. They don't eat so much meat like we do. The men need more. So the point is, Rabbi, that if a person doesn't enjoy having meat, doesn't enjoy having any of these things, there's no mitzvah to eat. Only what you enjoy. That's the idea. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the idea. If you enjoy this, eat that. If you enjoy that, eat that. Right? Whatever you enjoy, it's your personal taste that you have. That's the idea. But one thing, right, that we cannot live without is the bread, because without bread, it's not really called a seudah at all.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Right. Without bread, there's no seudah.
No, sir.
Purmarili, Purmarili is bread. Yeah, that's the essence of a meal. Without bread, what kind of meal is that? Yeah. Right. Of course. Yeah. Of course. So. You don't have to eat a lot of bread, by the way. Just a kazait. Do like this. That's it. One piece.
How much you have to eat
Yeah.
to avoid the Birkat Hamazon?
To avoid.
Not to immediately. We have a short also.
If you eat like a half an egg size, that's already Birkat Hamazon. Yeah.
But if you eat one slice or two slices, so you have to do the Birkat Hamazon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no question about it. Yeah, for sure, no question about it. Right. As long as it's yeah.
When is the next lecture? Next week?
Tuesday, Bezat Hashem. Parsha Shavua.
Thursday then.
Tuesday and Thursday, right?
At
Tuesday
this
and
time,
Thursday.
8:45.
Yes, 8:45 Bezat Hashem. Very good. You're invited as usual.
Explain to
Yeah.
Anzori that on Tuesdays, usually we do
Parsha Shavua, yeah, right. Tuesday, yeah.
Halakha, right?
We do Parsha Shavua, on Tuesday more.
And on Thursdays is my favorite because it's more historical.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, as we said, Rabbi, yeah. Okay. So, as we said, right, we should only eat whatever you enjoy. That's the idea. You know, that's the idea. So, the person Oneg Shabbat is a personal thing for him. That's what he enjoys. Also, if you don't like to have wine, you don't have to have wine either. There's no obligation. Some people don't like to drink wine. You know, they want to stay sober. They want to stay. You know, they like Coca-Cola. They like whatever they enjoy. Let them eat that.
Wine is better than Coca-Cola.
The kids, you know, they like the Coca-Cola. You know, the kids, you know how it is, right? They like the soda.
Yeah,
That's the way it
they
is.
don't know how dangerous it is.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you get the idea. So anyway, Rabotai, as we said, regarding the this fast, pretty much this is the rules, right, that we're talking about. Also, as we said, if a person wants to do all the other things as we mentioned, right, to take a shower, to clean himself, all these kinds of stuff, no prohibition regarding that these days, right? This past day, bathing, right, all kinds of things like this. Even though he's getting pleasure from that, the rabbis did not make a decree regarding these things. The only decree they made is not to eat and drink. That's the idea, right? There's also other things, right, that people ask when it comes to the fast days, right? As we said, how sick does a person have to be exempt from the fast? Not really very sick. You know, these fasts, even if he just had like a major headache or just, you know, he's like bedridden, he's got a flu, you know, some bad cold or something, he's not obligated to fast. You know?
Let's say in the fast day it comes like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and you have a headache and you're getting like a dizziness,
Yeah.
You can eat that time or
It's a good question. You know, you know what I say. You know what I say that usually this headache is coming from the fast, right?
Yeah.
So you should try to finish it. You know what I mean? It's not such a big deal. You know, you shouldn't be so lightly lenient like that. You know? Yeah, I don't think so. We're talking about the headache came from something else. You know, like you have a big headache. You know, something major. You know, whatever. So like something like that, the person is exempt. So regarding that, as we said, right, that a person has all these kinds of things, he's exempt. There are also other people who are exempt from the fast, right? Children also. Children are not obligated to fast. And even if they want to be, by the way, you know, like big shots, you know, there are some kids who like to prove their strength, you know. Say, oh, you know, I'm going to fast. I'm a big boy, you know, I'm strong. We tell them, listen, you know, don't be such a big hero. Don't be a big shot. Until you're 13 years old, don't be a hero. You know, just eat everything, you know, whatever you want to eat. Okay, you want to eat a little bit less, you know, let's say you don't want to have ice cream and, you know, cookies. Okay, but at least eat some bread, eat some cereal, eat something, for God's sake, you know. Whatever it is, right? We tell the children, eat normal. Because the children, they're weak. Their bodies are weak. They cannot take fasting. They say sometimes, by the way, that if a person tries to fast all day, a child like that, they can get harmed from that. They say some children even died, you know, by fasting like that. So a person has to know, you know, that fasting is not for children. It's not for them. Don't be a hero. And by the way, when it comes to this day, which is not like Yom Kippur, even to fast for a few hours, we don't tell them to do, right? Tell them not to do that. Even for a few hours. We tell them, you know, like, oh, I'm not going to eat only in the morning. We tell them, no, don't do that. I want to tell you a story regarding this, right? How stringent is this? They say, there's a Gemara regarding this, right? Regarding this whole issue, right? It says the Gemara, how careful does a person have to be to feed his children on time? It's considered to be dangerous for them not to eat. We're talking about little children, right? There's a story in the Gemara that there was a certain man who was walking with his daughter, and they were walking outside in a sunny area, you know, like in the wilderness, whatever, in the field. So what happened was that the daughter tells the father, Abba, he says, Abba, I'm thirsty, you know, can you give me something to drink? So Abba tells him, you know, we're going to be home in 30 minutes, you know, wait, we're almost there, we're almost home. So that child comes the second time, tells him, right, Abba, can you drink? I'm very thirsty. He says, wait, we're only 5 minutes away. So they say, right, what happened? A few minutes after that, the child died. You know? So we see from there, by the way, the severity of allowing children to fast or not to drink or things like this. Their system cannot handle that because their bodies are very small, you know, and they're very weak. They don't have the strength to handle that. So therefore, it's considered to be dangerous that a person makes his children fast when there's no obligation to fast whatsoever. I'll tell you how far it goes, by the way. That Maran Abba Shalom, Rabbeinu, even for Yom Kippur, when he had Yom Kippur, in the shul, in the yeshiva over there, when we were learning, Rav Ovadia, what he would do is, after we've prayed Shachrit in the morning on Yom Kippur, let's say it was about, 9 o'clock away, 9:30, 10 o'clock, so he would come in front of everybody in the shul and announce like this. He would tell them, whoever has small children at home, go home now and feed your children. In other words, even if it's because it's Yom Kippur, even though it's Yom Kippur, don't wait until later on. 9 o'clock, 9:30, you got to feed them already. Don't wait till later than that. So once we finish Shachrit, you will tell the people with children, go home and feed your children now. Don't wait anymore. Because a person who makes his child fast like this, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, he's putting him into danger. Considered to be sakana, So the rabbi, even on Yom Kippur, he would tell them like that. Can you imagine? It doesn't matter Yom Kippur. Why do you think Yom Kippur is some kind of it changes the person's nature? You're still a human being, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? There's also another example, right? I want to tell you regarding the Maran, he told a story. It's a true story. When he was young, he grew up like us. What does that mean? Just like we're here in the Bukharian neighborhood, predominantly Bukharian. He also grew up in the Bukharian quarter over there in Jerusalem. You know what I mean? He was in the Bukharian quarter over there. He's not Bukharian, but he grew up there. He was amongst them, just like we're amongst them.
He born in Jerusalem, right?
He was born in Iraq.
In
Iraq, yeah. They migrated when he was about 7 years old. Whatever, they migrated over. So what happened was, right, that he was in the Bukharian quarter, and over there in the Bukharian quarter, there's a lot of shuls over there. Baruchov, Shaulov, all kinds of Bukharian names. Musarov, there's this name, that name, all kinds of shuls like this, right? They're famous shuls. These shuls, everybody knows about them. They're like classic places, Right, in Jerusalem, yeah, the Bukharian quarter, So what happens was that the rabbi used to study in those places, So one time there was a gabbai over there who was, in one of the shuls, and this guy had a heart problem, heart condition, So this guy who had the heart condition, he was a gabbai of the shul, he was like a president of the shul. So he went to the doctor, and this was like Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur coming up. So doctor told this guy, he tells him, he says, I don't want you to fast on Yom Kippur, You're too weak. Your situation doesn't allow. You're a sick man, You have heart disease. If you fast on Yom Kippur, you're putting yourself in danger. You know what I mean? So this Bukharian guy, comes to the rabbi, Alba Shalom. He tells him, he says, you know what happened? He says, I went to a doctor. Doctor told me not to fast on Yom Kippur, So he said, how can I do such a thing like that? On Yom Kippur, I'm not going to fast? He was like in shock. He couldn't believe such a thing like that. Never 1 year in my life that I didn't fast on Yom Kippur. How can it be such a thing like that? So the rabbi warned him. He said, he says, be careful. He says, whatever the doctor told you, do like what he told you. Don't play games. Don't be a hero. So unfortunately, this guy didn't take heed. He wanted to be a hero, What happened? He fasted and he died on that day. Right? Passed away. Yeah, passed away. Yeah. Just as the doctor told him, it's dangerous for him. So when the doctor tells you something, you got to listen. You know what I mean? In most cases, I'm not talking about every case, but you got to, speak with the rabbis also. You got to, take some counsel with the rabbis as well. But in general, a doctor tells you, listen, you are sick, you cannot fast. And you want to be a hero? Even on Yom Kippur, don't be a hero. Right? It's a mitzvah for you to eat. You know what I mean? Not only you're allowed to, it's a mitzvah. Why is it a mitzvah? Because you're preserving your life. What does that mean? That the Torah commands us to live by the mitzvah, not to die with the mitzvah. Nobody told you to die with the mitzvah. Exactly. That's what says in the pasuk, right? To live with the mitzvah we want you to do. We want you to live with the mitzvah, not to die by the mitzvah. Well, what kind of thing is that, right? So therefore, for most of the mitzvot, if there's like a life and death situation, he has to break the Torah and keep himself alive. Whether it's breaking Shabbat or Yom Kippur, even these are like the most severe things, right? But nevertheless, when it comes to life and death, you got to break Shabbat to save your life, to save another Jew's life. You got to do it, and don't be like a shy boy. I don't know. What are you being shy about? The Torah commanded you to save your life. You know what I mean? Don't be a fool. What do we call this? We call this Hasid Shoteh. He's Hasid, idiot. Idiotic Hasid. That's what we call him, right? There are people like this. They think that they're Hasid, but they're killing their lives like that. So a person has to know everything in measure. Everything in the proper proportion. There's only three things. I want to finish with this, right? I don't want to keep you guys too long. There's only three things they say that a person has to give up his life for the mitzvot. You know what they are? One is avodah zarah, not to worship idols. He has to give up his life for that. If they tell him to worship idols in public, he has to give up his life. Number two, also, when it comes to gilui arayot, to do adultery or homosexual, these big sexual sins like this, right? This kind of stuff, a person has to give up his life not to do that, right? Number 3, what is it? Number 3, right? We have avodah zarah, we have gilu yarayot, we have murder also, right? They tell you to kill somebody. You have to give up your life and not kill somebody, right? In cases like that, not to kill your fellow Jew, right? So in these 3 cases, a person is required to give up his life in order not to do these sins. When it comes to the other sins, we say hi bahem, right? You should live by them. We don't want you to die, But these 3 sins, they're considered to be so cardinal, the cardinal sins. So therefore, we have to sanctify the name of God and not to do them. That's something else, right? But in other cases, not so Rabbi. So Kadosh Baruch Hu should give us a long life, and we should see Yemei Mashiach. Amen. Thanks for coming. Chazak Baruch. God bless.